Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you for your messages. Ali is here, as is Luis Garcia and Frank Leboeuf, who both messaged me during the Nations League final saying, I just want to go to bed. Which I think everybody shared.
I won't say what you sent me.
Yeah, no.
Every time players were missing chances, I don't want to say that.
Yes. Those are private messages that will be deleted very soon, Frank. Don't worry. Does the panel believe Florentino Perez's words today about Joselu being the final signing of the summer, considering how slim the attack is with only Vinicius, Rodrigo, Joselu, and Brahim? What do you think of this? Obviously, we talked a lot about Mbappe, Harry Kane. It looks like Florentino Perez is done. Luis?
Well, actually, we talked a lot about Florentino, the way he does things and when he does things and the way he says the things. So it's quite strange that right now, the moment that just a few days Mbappe makes a declaration where he shows that he's going to stay Paris Saint-Germain but not stay next year. We'll see what happens. Paris Saint-Germain talking about what are they going to do with Mbappe. They don't want to allow them to go on free transfer. We'll see what is going to happen, but I'm really, really strange that Florentino is using that we are not going to sign anymore, because he can change in maybe a week and maybe we can see something different. So I expect some more Real Madrid signings until the last part of the transfer market.
Cynical. Florentino Perez, why would you not tell the truth?
No. Hey, this is Captain Deflecto. So, well, we have nothing to do here. That's it. We're done. Look, I know what you guys are talking about. We're not in this Mbappe thing anymore. And we're just gonna withdraw ourselves from the conversation. Wow. We'll be right over here. And then PSG is gonna have to make a decision. And eventually then Real Madrid gets back into the conversation. I don't think Real Madrid are done. And Florentino Perez knows very well that they're not done.
Luis, Joselu looks old, doesn't he? He looks like he's had quite the life.
He had quite a life. I think he's 32 at the moment, but he's been everywhere. I think he's been in like 7-8 different teams, and he's in a fantastic moment. Today, once again, he got a few minutes, did well. We'll see what happens, because wearing the jersey of Real Madrid is a big deal, so hopefully he can do well for the team.
This is a strange one, Ali. Start, bench or drop the Club World Cup final, the UEFA Nations League final, or the CONCACAF Nations League final?
Wow. Well, quite frankly, if I had a choice, none of these guys would make the team.
Well, that's disappointing.
But
it's elitist.
I'm gonna start the Nations League final.
Okay.
I am going to bench the Club World Cup final.
Wow.
Although we are in this region, perhaps CONCACAF Nations League.
Right.
No, I'm dropping CONCACAF Nations League.
CONCACAF Nations League's gone.
Yeah,
that's
gone.
it. That's the end of it. For Luis and Ali, if you both had to create an all-time Barcelona squad, would you two have any disagreements on players? We preempted this. Let's take a look at Luis' as all-time. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Luis isn't in it. Very humble. There's no Frank Leboeuf.
Yeah. Listen, that is so difficult, and we're never gonna agree on this one.
Okay.
Never gonna agree on this one,
right.
But definitely, there are gonna be a lot that we're gonna get in.
What's your problem, Ali?
Well, I mean, it's hard to leave Pujols out,
right?
From an all-time,
exactly.
An all-time 11 to leave Pujols out. That's a tough one. Now, I'm not gonna touch the midfield because that is just gorgeous to look at.
Yeah.
But man, if we're talking about a moment in time for Barcelona, I don't think there's been a player that has been better, even if it is for a short period of time, than original Ronaldo.
Right.
The OG. Phenomenal. My goodness, he was something else for Barcelona. And again, admittedly, it was a short period of time, but that guy, if you ever needed to fall in love with the game, you watch that guy play for Barcelona and the things that he was doing. We talk about players like Erling Haaland, right? And all the things that he does and the goals that he scored and this and that and the other. Ronaldo was that, plus he was a dribbler. He had a little bit of Messi in him.
So who are you dropping?
See, that's a good question. I'm dropping Johan Cruyff.
Wow. Wow.
From that team, yes.
Frank, do you have any stories about Brazilian Ronaldo at all?
No, nothing that I remember.
No,
nothing much.
No, not at all.
But in that team, Luis, I love that you put Pep Guardiola as a manager, but I would have put Pep Guardiola in the middle of the park instead of Busquets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really
could
like
play a
Pep.
man.
Yeah, I mean,
playing.
It's a good choice.
Yeah, it's I think the change of the way Barcelona started to play with the real quality of passes and everything came with Guardiola in the middle of the park and his quality of passes, and that's why I thought about him.
It's an impossible task, though. Rivaldo, you're leaving out. Romario, you're leaving out as well.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go for longevity in a club, Zubizarreta in goal, could you make an argument there?
Daniel, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to turn
Luis
to.
Suarez.
Luis Suarez. I mean,
Luis Garcia, Eto'o.
No. It's not worth it.
Hey, it's a serious conversation, Frank. Come on now.
What is it like as a player when you're between club transfers? Do you have a lot of input? Is there a lot of nerves? Were there any transfers you wish you didn't do?
They didn't do no one because at that moment I thought they was the best one. So I don't have regrets of signing for another team. A lot of nerves, yes. Anxiety, yes. And the one that I had more trouble, I think the one when I had to go to Liverpool from Barcelona, because it took me a lot to arrive to Barcelona, finally as a first team player. And I signed 5 years contract, and the year after is when Liverpool, Rafa Benitez called me and want me to sign. So the decision to leave in my hometown, the club that I grew up following, and going to the Premier League, to Liverpool, it was very, very tough. I talked a lot about with my wife, with my family. And at the end, we decided that it was the right decision. But it was very tough. But I don't regret it because the things, they were very good once I arrived there.
What about you, Frank?
No regrets, because I would have had this career, with maybe other choices. But 15 days before signing for Strasbourg, I was about to sign for Paris Saint-Germain, and I was very sad when it didn't happen. And instead of me, Mr. Borrelli at the time, the chairman, decided to go for Antoine Camboire. We had a fantastic career with Paris Saint-Germain, so it was very right to choose him. But I was very sad. I even got sick the night that I was told I couldn't go to Paris Saint-Germain. But I signed for Strasbourg, and at the end of the day, was maybe a better choice for me. He helped me to grow and to become the player that I've been. Signing for Paris Saint-Germain at 20 years old would have been a different way, with lots of pressure. Would have been maybe different and maybe not as successful as he has been.
Luis, could you explain the crazy ending of LaLiga promotion playoff to the good viewers of ESPN FC and why Levante were robbed? In case you missed this, of course, it was 0-0, and it wouldn't have been gone to penalties because Levante had the higher seeding than Alaves. Alaves given a dodgy penalty late on, they convert it, they get promoted, Levante don't. Is that about right, Luis?
Yeah, it's totally right. And listen, when you arrive at that moment, it's very tough to get the call or don't have the chance of getting the promotion, because it's a massive difference and it's very difficult to arrive to that moment, because you know that the second division in Spain is very tough. To get the promotion is very difficult. We don't know if they're going to be there next year trying to promote, or maybe because every season is totally different. But it's true that the hand is right there. Maybe we can call it, maybe not. But during the season, there has been a lot like that one. The handballs have been very, very difficult to call them. All of them have been almost there, called as a penalty. So I understand that the supporters have been very frustrated, but I think it was the right call. So we have to understand, and congratulate the ones that promote to LaLiga.
Today, of course, Father's Day, a great day to celebrate being a father, a hard day for others. Of course, fathers aren't with us anymore. Frank, I know your dad isn't, but I want to ask you this. Since it is Father's Day, do you have any stories about your dad's involvement in their football career?
My father played for the Stade de Reims at the time where he was very young, and he was training with Copa, Fontaine, and for some of us who remember Reims at the time, they lost in the final of the former Champions League against Real Madrid. That was a fantastic team, and my father was in the youth team. And when I was younger, I had the chance to go for a trial in Reims, and they accepted me, but they wanted me to go to the youth academy, and I refused it. My father was so upset. He didn't talk to me for 2 months. He was very, very much upset. But again, that was my choice. And my father was a hard guy, living his professional football life through my professional football life. And it was somebody who told me that he was proud of me when I won the World Cup. So you could see the level of of what he wanted me to give in order to be proud of me. So, but I love him. I think about him.
What was that like, Frank? Like the World Cup? Was he in attendance at the game?
What I was like to what? Yeah. All the family was there, and everybody was there. And I went to when everybody went out, it was after the celebration. I went to the stand with all my family. I remember my son being on my father's knee and shouting to my father, "Oh, granddad, we won the World Cup." Well, he was like 4 or 6 years old. I don't know if he knew what it meant. But while I took my father in my arm and I told him, "That's for you, Dad." And he said, "Wow, I'm so proud of you." And I said, "Wow, something has changed right now." that was intense. Yeah. That was really much.
There was a nice moment, wasn't it, in the was it the Conference League final? David Moyes giving his dad the winner's medal. It's incredible, these connections, despite where you are on the height of the level that you're at. What about you, Luis?
He's been always very, very supportive. And but if I have to tell you something that very special is when I was 15, I was playing down our house, our apartment. They were having some fun with some friends, and someone called the police because I was hitting the ball against one of the gates of a parking lot, something like that. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. So my father came down and said to me, very, very proud of me, let's say, "You're showing off here. You should have been showing off at the weekend that you didn't even play. You went on the field and you didn't even play." And that made me think a lot about it. And definitely I use those words to try to increase my love of football and try to show off on the weekends and not on the parking lot where, yes, with my friends, I was the best one always, of course.
Ali?
Well, it's hard to talk about my father without actually breaking down.
Because you two have always, you've had an interesting relationship. Yeah?
Well, he is everything to me. And when it comes to his influence in soccer, it's not so much about my dad having played the game, because he couldn't do that, but it's the never-ending support. And when I was giving this speech, I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame in my school here, college at UNC Greensboro. And I'm getting through the speech, no problem. The moment I get to my dad, it's like I can barely keep it together. I would give you an example, and I think this kind of paints a picture as to how supportive my dad was, not only of me, but my brother as well, who also played the game. I was playing an international youth tournament in Brazil, so he had been there with me, and most parents didn't travel with the team, but he did, made the effort to do so. We were there for about 2 weeks, and we go through the tournament, get to the quarterfinal, semifinal, end up losing in the semifinals. Now we have to traveled back from Brazil to Venezuela. He goes through customs, whatever. At the moment that we get out, get our bags, he now then gives his bag to my mom, and my mom had already had his bag packed because he was now getting in a plane with my brother to go to his tournament in Scotland and the Netherlands for another 2 weeks. Essentially was basically get off the plane, here's the bag, give me the other bag, we're gonna go to this other tournament. Now, when you see that, you know that you have to pay it back. And again, even now talking, it's difficult for me to talk about my dad.
Oh, but it's all great memories, isn't it? I blame my father for not having the career that I think I should have, to be honest. Because when I was younger, John Barnes was my hero, and he'd always have problems with his hamstring. And then one day, we were coming home after a game, and he goes, I was like, "Oh, I think I've done my hamstring in." And he went, "You're not good enough to have done that." 100% true. That is it. Happy Father's Day to everyone who's... Oh, we don't need to do the last question. That's quite a nice way to finish, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's cool.
Maybe I should talk to my dad right now.
Oh, yeah, everyone go and speak to their dad. That's nice. That's really nice. Happy Father's Day. For watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.